It's the post-match phone-in, and we're very happy because today we're discussing Luton Town 3, Watford nil. And with me, as always, is my co-host, Mark Ryman. How are you getting on this evening, Mark?
I am feeling fantastic. Watford get bad everywhere they go. That's all I can say. Uh, what a fantastic afternoon for everyone involved. Rob Edwards needs a huge amount of credit for what he did. I know that a few people are going to be talked about for this. Carl Morris was unbelievable. Somebody on Twitter put this that how good he was, and I said that you spelt God wrong. Um, he was incredible all the way through. Deserved his goal. Absolutely led the line like a Trojan, and was as absolutely outstanding. But a word for all of those players that came on for the injured defenders and everything else as well. I mean, to do that in a derby game of such intensity. Hashioka, Johnson, Doughty switching to left centre back was excellent in that role as well. When you end up with one centre back there, McGuinness, talking of that centre back, best game he played in a Luton shirt by
Yeah,
miles. It
100%.
was it was everything we've been asking for the last however many weeks, isn't it? And it's all of that and more consistently for 98 minutes or whatever. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. And to and to make it even sweeter, them lot had to wait for their buses as well. Just a perfect afternoon, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And I have to say, the atmosphere at Kenilworth Road was so good. Obviously, there was a little bit of a wobble, and we were discussing this before we actually went live, where when Tom Holmes tried to lob Kaminsky from 40 yards, that
Crafted back pass.
yeah, it was calculated. It missed the goal by that much. And, yeah, everyone was like, oh, and then it took a while to pick up again. But other than that, everyone sang. Everyone was, you know, made it a hostile environment, but a good hostile environment, a pro Luton
Yeah.
hostile environment. And yeah, like, look, you want to see what it could have been like. You just need to see how the Watford fans reacted to the Watford team. Like that was crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
And quite rightly as well, because they didn't turn up. I mean, if you're a Watford fan, you're going to be absolutely gutted about the fact their team didn't turn up for that entire game. Didn't look like they wanted it anywhere near like Luton did. Uh,
it was levels above what we did at Sheffield United. Levels above, in my opinion.
so,
But
so many. I just yeah everything. And I think even the Edwards post match, and if you haven't listened to the Three Counties Edwards post match, do so. I mean, both of them, but the Three Counties one especially, I think it's a really important one. We talked about him previously. We've talked about him before, and I think I've said that I think sometimes he cares too much, and that's to his detriment. And I think but he deserves a huge amount of credit for today.
he got it
And
right. He got
it clearly
everything
meant a
right.
huge amount for him. Oh, he got everything right.
Do you reckon he
Yeah,
watches
even in the
this?
face of adversity as well.
Do you reckon he watches our
No,
shows? Because we've been
I,
shouting out for the
I,
three
I,
five two.
I hope not. I hope he doesn't. I hope he's having just a nice night, mate. To be perfectly honest, yeah, we have. But let's be honest, we've not been the only ones shouting out for an extra midfielder, or certainly, there's a few people wanting four at the back. I've been looking for a 4-3-3, whatever it is, but we've all agreed on one thing: we need three in the middle, and it made a difference today. I was surprised not to see Nakambra there from the start. There's a sort of possibility that he picked up a slight knock when he was on international duty.
He
He
was
hasn't.
incredible when he came on, though. He
It
was
was great,
incredible.
yeah.
Yeah.
For Chong, they all were, but that's what I mean. They all came on and made a difference. Pelly was
Petty.
brilliant, and just it is exactly the kind of game that is made for Pelly, and just fantastic. A lot of them, absolutely fantastic.
Shall we start getting some callers on?
Yeah.
Because they're queuing up. Right.
Yeah.
First up, let's bring in Steve Moore from, on Discord. One flew over the Dreya's net. It was good seeing you today, Steve. How you getting on, mate?
Hey, Steve.
Yeah, good, good. Yeah, quite an incredible day. Yeah.
It was. I saw you pre-match. Did you have any idea that it would be like that? Because we were so nervous, weren't we?
We were pretty negative, I'll be honest.
Well,
Because
yeah, we were.
particularly when we saw the team sheet and we knew the situation we had going in. We know we're not in form at that point in time, and we knew the injuries we had. And when you see the team sheet written down like it is, it showed as stark as it was. I mean, but what it basically has done is we talked about it. Is it looked like 2 years ago. It felt like that stylistically, to a large degree. There was elements of the team that got promoted stylistically in what we did, not just in the formation, but in style, and that's the main thing. And the only disappointment, obviously, is the injuries we picked up. I'll tell you what. Obviously, he had a bit of a moment when he had a ball fired into him early by McGuinness, which was pretty much purely McGuinness's fault. Holmes was just trying to react to it. But from that moment on, Tom Holmes was in that first half, for a guy making a first start, and someone who, in the little bits we've seen, we did not expect to be someone as comfortable on the ball as he was. I thought he was absolutely terrific in that first half at left centre back.
100%. 100% he was. Look, it
He's the
surprised
kind
me.
of centre back that we needed in that game, wasn't he? Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no.
I was just saying he's the kind of
100%. I agree with you
Yeah.
as well. He looks like a proper Luton defender, doesn't he?
Yeah. I'm absolutely delighted for how we played in the first half, but obviously I'm presuming, I've not heard anything, but I'm presuming it's a concussion based on the incident involved and him going off at half time and concussions are weird things. I know from being an NFL fan, concussion protocols are weird things. Some people can be fine after concussion and pass the test the next day. Some people, it's literally months. So, and you can't rush it. So I really hope he's able to recover from it very quickly, because he looks in an area of the pitch where we constantly are losing people. And there's an element also of that in that we went back to how we played stylistically in terms of the press from 2 years ago. But even the year we got promoted and the year before that, we were picking up constant centre-back injuries. So it's just something, if we're going to go back to this, which I think we have to, and just get back to, what worked in the first place, let's do that. We might have to accept that we are going to need 8 centre-backs in a squad of 25.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I really don't disagree. I think it's a persistent injury crisis, and it's always our defenders as well. But hey, what we gonna if you persist with 3 at the back? Yes, I would actually say you probably need 9 players who are capable of playing centre back. And possibly if they can also do a job like wing back as well, it helps, right?
What did you make while we're talking about this? And obviously, I thought Hashi did okay. Certainly, we're talking about Hashi. But what did you make of the decision, which he tried a couple of times last year when we were as down to the bare bounds as we are now, of playing Doughty at left centre back with JJ outside him, as opposed to the other way around?
Yeah, Mark, if you want to take that, I was surprised by it.
I think it's really interesting one, isn't it? Because you would assume it would flip round. I would put JJ more as a defending fullback than a wing back, and Alfie the other way round. Alfie, I mean, to be fair, when Alfie was left centre back, he was often one of the furthest players forward. I remember him nicking that ball back towards the end of the game and going on a run as well. But yeah, I mean, it is interesting that he's using Alfie there instead. I guess it could well be based purely on the fact that he's been in that game and that position is likely to be a more vulnerable one. And we know that he he's got a bit more of the experience to be able to manage it, whereas JJ's obviously only a teenager. He's only just been introduced into the Derby game, and so the left wing back position arguably it is slightly less important for defending. That's the only way I can think about it, but it is an interesting point.
Well, I think it's well. I get the point. I think it's purely that he doesn't trust Johnson enough at that level. I don't think he thinks Johnson is at that level yet. And let's remember, he's a very, very young player, and it takes exceptional players to come into top two flight football as a teenager. But I think it's purely that if we're going to have a player who's going to be a liability, he'd rather him out wide rather than left centre back. And frankly, there was a period in the last 15 minutes of the game where we had a flat back five. And because Johnson had already been done 2 or 3 times, we had a flat back five and Jacob Brown man marking the right winger on top of that. So it was almost a flat back 6 at times.
Yeah, Brown did well to track back as well, didn't he? Yeah.
He was basically playing for wing back.
At that point in the game, with us 2-0 up to absolutely, that's where they're starting to get a bit of joy because JJ, to be honest, he probably isn't quick enough to be a wing back. I'll be honest, he doesn't look it. And he had been done a couple of times and just say, right, we're 2-0 up, help cover this guy. And it worked because after that, not that they offered a huge amount, but there was a couple of half chances coming from that right-hand side. But once Jacob Brown came on and started doing that, it's sort of the issue. I mean, they've had one shot on target in the game and one shot that's blocked, and they both were built from that right-hand side. And after that point in the game, it stopped.
Yeah.
And I genuinely think there weren't a player on the pitch that played badly for us in that first half. We've been absolutely dominant in that first half, and it's just a shame. Obviously, we've continued to lose more players. I'm joking to myself. I mean, I was thinking, even though we were 3-0 up, I was feeling more nervous looking forward in the 5 minutes up to full time than I was 10 minutes after it, because Burke seemed to be walking around okay. And I know Mengi was there and he seemed to be walking okay. So, okay, he might not be fit for Wednesday, but Mengi did not look like someone who's going to be out for months and months and months. So,
yeah, you and me both, Steve, on that point.
Isn't Mengi only going to be out for 3 weeks? I think it's Ruel Walters that's going to be out for 2 months.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
The one that's on
yeah, Walters is out for a while. Thank you very much, Steve. We're going to knock on to the next callers. Appreciate you joining us, mate.
Hey, Steve.
Thanks.
Right, so who do we have next? By the way, if you want to get your opinion in, just you can find the link to call us is pinned to the top of the chat on the YouTube. Please get involved. It'll be great to have as many opinions as possible. Want to hear from as many people as possible. Let's bring the next person in. It's our man from the US. It's Christian. How are you getting on, Christian? What was your experience of your first ever derby?
Honestly, I thought it was great. Woke up this morning super early because obviously the game was at 12:30 local time, which means it's early in the morning for me. And I was not disappointed. Luton Town played some of the best football that I've ever seen them play, and I was just so pleased with it. I mean, Jordan Clark, Jacob Brown, and Carlton Morris, I mean, they all just scored really great goals, and I'm so glad we were able to beat Watford, especially with what's been happening last few weeks and everything that's gone on. It sucks that we had Chong and Burke go off injured. Like, that's no fun, obviously. But I was very pleased at the team's ability to adapt, and I was very pleased that Rob Edwards was able to have a good performance. Now, why that was, I'm not a football, tactics expert, but whatever he did today worked swimmingly, and we need to do it more.
Yeah, I mean it's back to basic stuff, wasn't it? I mean, also just because we haven't really touched upon it yet, you mentioned Jordan Clark, pretty off season, let's be honest. And Sheffield United epitomised that. To be fair, he was also put up as a false nine or centre forward in that game. But how good was Jordan Clark today? I mentioned Morris, but Clark was everywhere today. He was absolutely everywhere. Back to his absolute best. Deserved the goal, as did Morris. But apart from the goal, was just he wouldn't let them get out. I don't know whether you could see this watching it, Christian, as well. What I've noticed this season particularly is that we're okay in the first phase of the press, but as soon as people get past that first phase, we sort of collapse a little bit. And then today we had that second phase of press, whereas even they got past the first bit, the strikers, the Adebayos, then there was people like Kraus just snapping at players, not letting them get past the centre circle. It was great to watch. They just couldn't get out of their own half.
Yeah, I definitely think that's something that like shows on the broadcast. It definitely, to your point, seems that very often we're able to have that first line of defense go well, but if teams get past that, then it becomes very shaky, and that just was not there today. And it seemed like every aspect of the defense like felt strong. There was never a point where I felt as if Watford had given away a chance that they deserved, because Luton just didn't give them those chances, which, again, to your point, is just something that's kind of atypical for us.
So I felt with the press, coming back to your point, I felt playing two man up top meant that the first press, the striker press, was much harder to play through than it normally would be when it's just Elijah by himself. Whereas they just like zigzag the ball around him, bam, you got the midfield, then one ball straight through, because, when you're playing with two wide men up top in the 3-4-3, you just play it through that press completely, because everyone's so wide. And then with the midfield, you have a two-man midfield just straight through the midfield. Whereas now we had two men up top and then three in midfield. So it just becomes harder to play around. And that's why we've been banging on continually back to basics, because it works. That 5-3-2, it works, or the 3-5-2, however you want to do it. Although for the second half, it was primarily a 5-3-2, which Steve touched upon, and I actually quite like that. And just a word on Alfie Doughty as well. Like, Christian, were you blown away by how good Alfie Doughty was in the left centre-back position, considering everyone has said Alfie Doughty can't defend?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we have seen Alfie play in the left centre-back position before, and it didn't really go too well. And so when I saw him go on the back line, I was a little bit hesitant to think it was going to go well. But he just played absolutely lights out there today. I mean, I was very surprised that he was able to hold up, because I thought as soon as the defense started having a few people go off, you had JJ come on, I didn't think that like we were gonna be able to keep a clean sheet. And as soon as Doughty, I saw him on the back line, I'm like, there's absolutely no way we don't concede. And he just did everything that was asked of him today, playing that left center back position. And while I don't want him there usually, I don't know if I'd be against him playing that again if we need to.
I think we will need to, because, the defensive injuries are sort of piling up now. Thank you very much for joining us, Christian. Really appreciate you, mate. Enjoy the show. Right, let's get some comments before we get our next caller on. Yep. Dan Club saying, well, blowing my own trumpet, I did predict a 3-0 win. Well, who else predicted a 3-0 win?
You and me both.
Yeah. My co-host, Mark, he predicted a 3-0 win. And, if you watch my instant post-match reaction, you'll see a snippet from our championship prediction show where Mark calls it. And what was your rationale, Mark? There is no rationale.
I said Rob Edwards masterclass, but I did say nothing whatsoever other than the Rob Edwards masterclass. Yeah, I'm going to be dining that out on that. But yeah, it wasn't a result that was highly likely given the way we were playing. It's just that it was more in hope that Rob would go back to what we know he can do and what our team can do, and that's exactly what happened, isn't it? I mean, Lee's mentioned this as well, but Eli, this is why Eli's still in the team. What a great performance from him, holding it up, winning everything, coming back to defend and relieve the pressure. He was brilliant today. I want to keep going on about how good every single player was because they were all great, but how good is Morris for Eli as well? Having somebody else there,
they are
it
devastating.
takes so much pressure off him.
They're like Dwight York and Andy Cole. They work so well together, and they have to play every game together. And not Morris out on the wing. He has to be like touch tight with Elijah.
Yeah. Well, exactly, and we know that Eli's such a confidence player, and we know that he's going through a rut at the moment. He still didn't score today. He had that one chance, sort of tight angle 1-on-1. But
I thought it was a good save from Backman, to be honest.
It was a good save, yeah. But it does allow the pressure to be taken off when he's on his own up front. It's all on him, and there's no one else there. Whereas Carlton Morris can set up play as well. It just takes so much of that pressure off him. So yeah, both of them up front were excellent for one another. But Eli, great performance.
So I saw JC in the green room. JC, if you're listening, if you're hearing this, jump back in. We'll get you on after our next caller. Also, to people who want to call us, just have a look at the link in the description of the live stream. You'll see it. It's pinned right to the top, and you can also find it by pressing !call, and that will give you the link as well. Let's bring in a view from the other side now. I believe it's Rio. How was the game for you today, mate? Fair play, mate.
Hello. We're here.
Yeah, we're here indeed. How was the game today? How was your experience at Kenilworth Road?
The whole experience is a bit weird, to be fair. Like, obviously, coaches both ways. Laughing. Right, hour 45 there, hour 45 back. Got home about 4:00. Yeah, the away end. I was about to go in the toilets at half time. Sort of stared at them, and I was like, "Not for me." What else? What else was there? I was surprised how small the segregation was. Actually, that was quite cool. But no, obviously, you fully deserved the win. Played us off the park, you could say.
That's very good of you to admit.
Rio,
Go for it, Mark.
You did call it as well. I was just going to say, Rio called it. It went offline last time we did our pre-match with Matt Spring, and Rio came on just after it all dropped through and said that it was going to kickstart our season. So, fair play, mate. You did call it and have come on as well.
I was actually listening to a voice note I sent my mate on Snapchat. I think I said it as a joke at like midnight last night, but I said, "What shall we lose 4-0 to Luton tomorrow and then pick up a win against Leeds on Tuesday?" Close enough. But no, you thoroughly deserved the win. And yeah, it's just, I don't know if you saw my tweet, but the last 2 visits at Kenilworth Road, we've had 2 shots on target combined. Does that say more about you or more about us?
It says that you don't travel well.
No, it shows that we've got no bottle.
Yeah,
it's really interesting, that point as well, because I think Cleverley isn't that kind of person, and Wilder certainly isn't either. But yet, under both of them, you've come to Kenilworth Road and really put in a like. Yeah, I mean, even objectively, that was a absolutely horrendous performance from you. But both of those managers aren't like that, so I find that quite odd.
I was going to ask a question because I didn't actually get to watch the. Basically, I was out last time for the 2-0. Couldn't get a ticket. Trying to watch on the red button on my phone, and it wouldn't come up until the 70th minute. But which game was more worse from a Watford point of view? This one or last time?
I'd say from Watford point of view, probably the last one, because you had a better squad. But
that's true.
You had people like João Pedro in that squad last time. Whereas now, you've got a couple of good players, standout players.
But that's all right. That's about it.
Yeah, he's good. He was half decent, but he was the only sort of half standout player I think today. But yeah, I would probably say that.
I was going to add on. I know you guys give Adebayo some stick this season, but
No,
honestly,
we don't.
You know.
Well, we not on this
ball.
show. Not on this show. No.
But
maybe other pods do, but we don't.
He's such a handful. Such a good player.
Yeah.
Morris obviously too.
I'm of the opinion that Elijah Adebayo is, and I've said it so many times. I think I said it on Do Not Scratch Your Eyes. I think Elijah Adebayo is probably one of the best strikers in the Championship. Like, a striker doesn't have to always score goals. If you look at his numbers, he's played 151 times for Luton now, and he's scored 48 goals. So that's like 1 in 3. And that, exactly. That's not bad, you know? Like, the very elite are like 1 in 2. 1 in 3 is not bad.
Compare it to our striker today, who scored 8 goals in 78 games for us.
Oh, there you go. 1 in 10. That's like Calvin Andrew numbers. I think Calvin Andrew, I was writing his bio for Hatters Heritage, and I saw he played 600 career games and only scored 60 goals. Which is piss poor.
Adebayo's nearly there already. No, I was actually happy that it was only 1-0 at the break, because if it was 2-0 before half time, obviously it was game over in the end, but we wouldn't have even stood a chance. But the most annoying thing is, I don't know if I was speaking to you about that or someone else. That back pass you had in like the first minute, if that goes in, game slips on his head. We go 1-0 up. Kenny gets a bit toxic maybe. But I was speaking to my mate as soon as the game kicked off. I think Porteous lost a aerial duel in the air, and I think Pollock might have misplaced the pass. I was like, we're not up for it today.
Pollock tried, this was right in front of me, Pollock tried to slam the ball into Rosette, completely sliced it.
I saw that.
It was brilliant. I have to say, Porteous is like, he looks like a pub footballer. Or
he can't handle the Kenny. He can't handle the Kenny. It was the same last time. He wouldn't go for a throw in. It's exactly the same now. He got tickled in the ear by Jacob Brown and fell on his face. And then he's crazy.
No, he's one of the players which apparently should be turning up for us, because he's a tough Scotsman, they say. And the thing is, his best part of his game, well, he says anyway, is like he's fearless. He likes to tackle. That's almost his biggest downfall, because he's shite in the tackle.
It's so bad.
Mind my language. It's terrible. I don't think there was a single player who had a half decent game today. I mean, did you see the stat? I think we won 23% of our aerial duels.
Yeah, I reckon you probably won like all of those in the second half, when our team got a lot shorter, to be honest. When we took the height off.
Did O'Connor get sent off or not?
No.
Good question.
I genuinely don't know.
It's been reported that he was. Yeah, it was reported that he was. Sky Sports have said that he was. BBC, our club tweeted that he was sent off.
He wasn't.
After the Jacob Brown goal.
He wasn't.
I don't think he was.
No.
It hasn't come through on the papers.
I don't know. It's not on anything else, but it's still on the Sky Sports report that he was sent off, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's not like they watch it. Sky Sports don't watch it. They didn't even show the goals on Twitter, did they?
No. I can't believe... what was it? Like West Bromwich, someone was ahead of us on Sky Plus, and
Oxford,
we weren't even...
Cardiff and Plymouth.
Although that game was decent. Cardiff versus Plymouth, 5-0. Not bad. Not bad.
To be fair, their manager was our assistant manager last season, so could have done with him.
Yeah, Omar Rizza. Yeah, he's. I think there's a Watford connection there, like beyond like being assistant manager. Rio, thank you very much for joining us, and fair play for coming on, mate. Good sport.
No problem. See you, Ollie. See you guys.
See ya.
See you, Feb.
Right. There was someone else in the green room. I think we saw Ash.
Yeah, it's a couple of
Ash.
people.
Yeah, Ash, come back if you want to. In the meantime, shall we bring in the next caller?
Yeah, let's do it.
Who have we got?
In Grieg.
Grieg, are you doing this or shall
Drag
I?
you in.
Yeah, there you go. You dragged him right
I've
in.
done it.
All right, Grieg, how you doing, mate?
Grieg, how's it going?
How you doing, guys? Oh,
Very good. Very, very good.
oh yeah. I feel it on you, man. That was what we're talking about, wasn't it? That was just everything that we've been crying out for. And honestly, I thought we'd see it in periods of the game, but my God, that was literally like the previous Watford and Sunderland games, wasn't it? In terms of minute one to last minute, no matter who was on the pitch, no matter who got subbed, injuries, no matter what, every player was absolutely tuned in to the team. It was just absolutely fantastic. Complete team performance, just absolutely buzzing. And it couldn't have been any sweeter with their magnificent tweet that went out of taking in the sights that Watford put out, trying to highlight how shit Luton was. And
They did it last time as well. They did it before the 2-0. They don't learn.
Yeah, I loved
exactly.
that. I thought that was top banter, and you just knew they were gonna lose after that. Like, just it was so artistic. Yeah. Like, the cameraman must have got way down on the floor to like capture those angles as well. That is proper commitment. Like, you know, the filters on the bin as well. I thought that was fantastic and really beautiful and artistic. Fair play to them.
Yeah, there's some serious time and thought gone into that. And I just thought, at the time, I didn't get irate when I saw it. I actually thought, oh, fair enough. That is going to be sweet if we turn up and we can ram it down their throats and laugh about it for years to come. And that's what happened. Absolutely fantastic. Just a few points I'll tap into here. I think a lot of callers and you guys have already just highlighted just the complete performance, really. But Morris, my God, what a beast. That was just, I think he went off on 66 minutes and he was my man of the match. There were man of the matches all over the place, but Morris was absolutely phenomenal. Just first class. It stuck to him. He was strong. He held it up. He showed pace. He beat a man. He did that step over. He went to the byline and pulled it back for Eli. He got a good little shot near the near post that went out for a corner. He was riling the crowd up. Everything you want from a forward, a captain, a hold-up, old-style centre forward, but then he was also being, running on the wing. He showed pace, power, just everything. He could not have given any more. And I was so glad. Like, literally, I said to my son, he is a 9 out of 10. If he scores, that's a 10 out of 10 performance. And then he scored, and it was 10 out of 10. And it really is. It's not just overblown watching it through Luton blinkers. It was a 10 out of 10, 66-minute performance. And I was just, when he got subbed, my son said to me, "He's not injured, is he, Daddy?" And I said, "I don't think he is. I just think they're just being sensible. Game management is obviously one of probably our top three, if not top player, like in terms of how important he is on and off the pitch at the moment." So, and obviously after the game, he was going around, he looked happy and everything. I think they were just being very sensible with his game management, as they have to be now with our crazy injuries. But oh my God, that blew me away for a performance. McGuinness was another outstanding performance, but I thought Morris just edged it, I suppose, being the leader that he is, and just how he dragged the team. He was not losing that match from the first minute, and all the rest of the team followed him into battle. And God, yeah, seriously proud hatter today. And even when he got tough, when I actually looked up, realised after about so many subs, weren't there, towards the end, and even when we were 2-0 up, I was thinking, oh, it's not done. I don't feel safe at all. And then I realised we had Hashi and JJ on, and we lost a lot of our physicality and height. But we still just just kept that ethos of battling and just never giving up and never, shocking out a tackle. Like you've touched on, Doughty. My God, that was the best defensive display by Alfie Doughty I've ever seen. I've always been very wowed by his pace and his going forward, and he's always made a last-ditch tackle now and again. But he was just so solid.
I don't know where it
strong,
came
robust.
from. I honestly don't know where that defensive performance came from.
Yeah, he looked robust. He looked tough. Normally you think, oh, he gets in there with the odd slide tackle where he can hook it round, but he was just solid. He looked like double his size. He was incredible. And Hashi did a tidy job. I was really happy for him because I did think, I think it was you, Ollie, did you predict a lineup with Hashi starting? And when I saw that, I was like, oh, I hope not. And not because I think we've signed a bad player. I just thought that'd be a bit much for him. I thought he's just maybe at the moment just a bit not quite ready, a bit lightweight. So I was
that was purely because I didn't know who else would be around. I honestly didn't know. To be honest, Hashi might start the next one against Sunderland. I have no idea. Yeah.
He's almost certainly going to start the next one now, isn't he?
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. Before you even start, I think injuries and is just bonkers. I mean, I think what have we got 7 centre backs without Lockyer, and I think 6 of them. I mean, I know we've got a couple hopefully that are near return, but McGuinness to be our only lasting centre back on the pitch today, and he was touch and go whether he even played today himself.
He hadn't trained.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, he didn't train. And he was, how ironic that he was our last man standing today. So it is, and going into a 3-game week with Sunderland Wednesday, I know we've got a day extra to recover, I suppose, but then it's 2 days and then it's another 12:30 away at Coventry. So yeah, McGuinness, that was the money man that we signed in all of our hopes. That was the leader, the captain that we bought for big bucks, whatever you want to say, 5, 6, 7, up to 10 million, whatever it was. But that was a top championship captain performance today. And he's shown it against Sheffield Wednesday. He was great. He won all his headers, but he's looked really shaky in most of the games. But today, absolute brilliant from again, him and Morris were the 2 standouts from minute 1 to the last. I thought. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, I mean that slide tackle epitomises it, isn't it, for McGuinness? That slide tackle was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But I think one other thing I noticed about McGuinness as well, that the issue at Sheffield United, the issue at QPR, and a bit at Plymouth as well, is how tentative he was with the ball in the air, which is ironic considering how tall he is. He won, yeah, exactly. But he won every single one of his headers today. One thing that's apart from that tackle that really stood out for me is how dominant he was in the air. He wouldn't let anything get past him. Which was allowed people to get back and defend behind him. It made such a big difference. So yeah, no, I completely agree about McGuinness, and I really hope he's okay for Wednesday and obviously subsequent game on Saturday as well.
Definitely. Yeah. And did you see, Mark, that tackle? That was one of the best tackles of the game when he wiped out Bayo. I think it was Bayo that was clean through, he took the tackle. But did you see what he did on the floor? What was equally as impressive is he actually then hooked a pass down the wing.
Straight to Reece Burke. Yeah.
So his awareness,
brilliant.
Not, he could have basked in the glory of saving the goal, but he was just I can actually play a pass here, and he actually hooked it down the line to Burke. That is absolutely that's Maldini-esque. That kind of sliding tackle with a hook pass. That is top Italian defending. That took me back to watching, Italian football at its pomp in the 90s. That really was tremendous. And there were quite a few moments of just wow, just quality old school, back to basics with a bit of finesse moments like that. And I think there was 2 tackles. One was Nakamba, one was Kelly, I think towards the end of the game, where they looked like they might have been through, but Nakamba said no, and he slid in, and then it looked like, oh no, they're going to get through again, and Pelly slid in. I'd like to give. I've never bashed Pelly at all, but I thought I was so happy for him, because it is hard coming on as a sub and that's the only time you get to do your stuff, because you just got to. It's hard to get into the game, the rhythm of the game. But my God, he was good today when he came on. He was solid. He tackled. He knew what it's all about. I was so happy that he actually came on and actually really did help the team get over the line. So yeah, him and Nakamba just looked solid. Jacob Brown as well. What icing on the cake! No one's, I think, talked about just the coolness. That was a proper striker's goal, wasn't it? He kind of, the player just sort of crumbled. He looked like a bit of a shove, but not enough for a free kick. And the
He didn't
Watford
touch
defender,
him. He didn't touch him.
Barely touched him.
Yeah.
I think Porteous went down looking for a free
Killed him.
kick. Yeah, he went down looking
Porteous.
for a free kick because he's a tough
There were no
Scottish
complaints
man.
from their end as well.
No.
No. Jacob Brown just said, "Nah, have a bit of a push," but nothing in the realms of a foul. And then he just focused in on goal and just put it in the other corner. Left backman just flat-footed, and that absolutely I was just bouncing around for freaking half an hour solid with my son. It's just awesome. It's times like that where you just think, freaking hell, gone through a hell of a tough time going back to the Premier League, where you just there's not many wins that we've had to shout about. Where you're listening to all the stats and all the doom and gloom about everything, and just that is what it's all about. And my God, we go into a really challenging week now with injuries coming out our arse. But
agreed. It's the first of many. Thank you very much for joining us, mate. I'm gonna go to get the other guys in. Thank you very much for joining us. Who did we have first? It was Ash or JC?
I think it was Ash.
Okay,
let's Ash first, then JC. I think.
Let's get Ash in. Ash, thank you for your patience. Good evening, mate.
Hi,
hello, my friend. I think you both are doing an excellent job again.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Were you at the game today? What did you think?
Yes, I was at the game, and I thought they were outstanding. This is the old Luton. When I walked out of the ground with my kids, you could hear the other fans walking past saying, "This is the old Luton, this is the old Luton." See Pelly Ruddick come off the bench with the captain, giving some respect back to a player who's given so many years.
That was outstanding, wasn't it? The standing ovation for Morris and Pelly.
It's just old Luton, basically. Just all we want is old Luton to play. Basically, we just want old Luton. That's all we want is.
Yeah, and it was wonderful.
All I want to say is that we just need the manager Edwards to just continue with this. We've got the players, we've got the fans. Let's just work together now and get somewhere. Let's be positive and show, like that gentleman all the way from America. Respect to that guy. That's what I've got to say. And thank you both of you, because you give an opportunity for people to speak. With the other people who are Luton fans who do similar to what you both do, they don't want to listen to your opinions. You both are outstanding. You let us talk to you, and they are listening. The managers are listening to us now because of you both. Otherwise, this 3-0 win would never have happened.
I don't think we can take credit for it, but I appreciate that, Ash. I think, you know what, though? I mean, I live in the East Mids. I'm a Luton fan by my dad. My dad was born in Luton. I've never lived there personally, although I've had season tickets before. And so for me, living in the East Midlands near Nottinghamshire, there's no other Luton fans about, so this is a great opportunity for me to have a chat with other Luton fans and talk about it. My family is sick and tired of me talking about it all the time, so it's a great opportunity to have a chat with other people. And there's a lot of us like that aren't necessarily based in Luton as well, and abroad and all of those things. It gives us the opportunity to have a chat about us, and particularly with a game like this.
But the other YouTubers, when you speak to them, they just don't understand your feelings. They think that you're not right, what you're saying. They think they're always right, everything they're saying. with you and your gang, or the team of you. It's just a breath of fresh air. You both are a breath of fresh air. Thank you so much, and just please continue doing this now
I
because you're
appreciate that,
helping
Matt.
us all.
I appreciate that.
Appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
Thank
Thank you,
very much,
Ash.
Ash.
Have a great evening.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Yeah, you know, we do have obviously our shows where we talk about our opinions, but this show's not really about our
Yeah.
opinions, is it? This is the
No.
fan phone in. We want people to call in and give their opinions and get their points across, and you know, vent. So yeah,
It's great to have
really.
that opportunity. I think we get more press these days, but you know, me and you all remember listening to Three Counties on the way home from games years ago, and it was always Watford this, Watford that. You know, you never hear about Luton very often, and it was,
Yeah.
you know, it wasn't there. I mean, it wasn't not even when we were in the non-league days prior to that as well. There just wasn't the
Diverse,
opportunity
mate.
for it.
It was on
Diverse
Diverse, yeah,
FM is
with
where it's at,
the Mark
exactly.
Woods
Simon.
and Steve Moore. So, funnily enough, JC, by the way, we see you in the green room. We will get you
Yeah.
in. I'm just going to tell this very brief story. So Steve Moore for years. So I lived in Scotland for 4 years. And that was the 4 years I wasn't doing. I didn't have my season ticket for those 4 years, but I've had it for the other 24 years, 25 years. And when I finally met Steve Moore, he sent me a voice note. I think we were in an old Oak Road Hatter group. He sent me a voice note. I was like, oh my God, I recognize that voice. And that was the first time I'd heard his voice. I was like, that's the Diverse FM guy. Because that was
Exactly.
how you interacted with Luton, you know?
Yeah, exactly that. That is how you listen to Luton games. Exactly, yeah. So it's great to have this platform that we can do this a bit more regularly now.
Yeah. Right. Let's bring in JC. JC, mate, thank you very much for your patience. How are you doing this evening? Oh, JC's gone back out into the green room. Sure.
I'll bring him back in.
Yeah, there you go. No escape, JC. How are you doing, mate?
Have to join in.
Am I here now, or are you going to kick me out again?
No, didn't
you're
kick
here
you
now.
out. You're there. How are you doing, JC?
It was nice to enjoy a Luton game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'm not sure I've enjoyed one since, like, I don't know, the first 60 minutes of Newcastle. It's just been terrifying or awful in various ways since then. You know, last half an hour there, I was like, oh, this is what it's meant to be like, isn't it? I'm enjoying myself. I'm laughing. I'm singing. It's good. It's good.
So
It's been
true.
a long time. I think I don't know, and maybe we'll never know what happened with Rob last week. But I felt there was a completely and the tactics were obviously different today, but there was a different attitude among the players today, I thought, from the moment they walked onto the pitch. The thing that really struck me, particularly in the first half, is Alfie Doughty just had a huge smile on his face whenever there was kind of any hint of aggro or anything in the moment, like it started to get loud in the stands. You could just see him smiling. He was just in his absolute element. And players like him and the impact that Carlton has on the team is obviously massive. And I find with Carlton, he's almost like the Adebayo whisperer. Like he knows how to get Eli going. And there were a couple of times in the first half where Eli had slipped or fallen over, and Carlton's the first one over to him trying to get him up. And Carlton obviously just gets that whole team going. And he had a better attitude about him today than I thought he had. Even Clark, particularly in the second half when you had that back three that none of us expected to see or would ever want to see. Clark almost seemed to be kind of, particularly with Hashi, almost like coaching about where he needed to be in various positions. And I just thought there was much more leadership around the team today than I've seen in the rest of the season combined.
Yeah, great point.
Yeah. I think as well, you mentioned about Edwards. Obviously, we're not going to speculate on what happened during the week, but it's clear. One thing's clear that the players are playing for him, you know, and that's huge, because that was my worry, is that at times that it looked like that they weren't on board. I mean, after what Reece Burke said after the Sheffield United game, particularly, but today they seemed all behind that particular plan, didn't they?
It was interesting as well how Edwards seemed to really make the effort not to be visible post game as well. Like he really hung back. He didn't kind of give it the big un by
No
the
fist
tunnel
bumps.
when all the players were there. Like he let the players really take centre stage, and I don't know how much that was deliberate or how much that's just where his head's at. But particularly compared to how he was at the end of the last Watford game, that was notable as well. And who knows what's going on there? And I think even when we're criticising him, I feel like everyone just wants the best for the bloke. Yeah, I was a bit struck by that as well. But I don't know. There was just a bit more freedom to everyone today. Everyone just seemed a bit more relaxed and a bit more. Maybe it just comes down to the plan was simplified. They all knew their role a lot more clearly, and it was a role they'd all been used to playing for the majority of the last 2 years since Rob joined. So it was just a case of back to basics and simplifying the whole thing for everyone involved, really.
Yeah, so going back to the lack of fist pumps, I know we're not speculating on anything. So I don't know if you listened to our match preview where we were talking about Edwards and his mental health. Do you think it was perhaps he is purposefully taking a back seat to it because he doesn't feel like he's worthy of the fist pump? As weird as it sounds, but he got Locks to do one. Jacob Brown did one. I think Colton Morris did one as well. I'm not sure, but it was a weird one. And there's a great comment here from Rich Hartwell. NJ would have been front and center. Yeah, of course he would have.
Yeah, and
Been in the
worthy
stands.
of the fist pump is a funny phrase, isn't it? But yeah, you almost wonder whether he realizes that he's not done a good job so far this season, so isn't wanting to put himself front and center in the way that he previously would. And quite what as fans we can overanalyze every tiny detail on it, and ultimately, does whether or not he does fist pumps at the end of the game have any bearing on how well the players do? I don't know. Almost certainly not. But in a day where it felt more like last couple of years than it has for a few months, that was one element that didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't mind the lack of fist pumps personally. I think it shows that he knows we're not where we need to be currently. That was a great game, but it doesn't typify our season, as we've just been saying. JC was saying the same thing. We've not had much to cheer about, so I don't mind that. I think if he went overboard with it, it makes it feel like this is going to be a one-off. And he's clearly. I think the point is this can't be a one-off. This now needs to be replicated on Wednesday and on Saturday and the following Friday and everything else. So. I don't mind that, As for his post-match, I don't mind that either. I'm glad if he gets a bit pissed off. At least it shows that kind of anger and aggression's back. That's what you want to see, rather than the more introverted, it's on me type thing. I didn't like that particularly because it just invites more and more pressure on him. But so I'm okay with it, and hopefully it means we see similar performance on Wednesday.
Where do we go from here, JC?
Well, it feels difficult to kind of build on a performance like that when you've just no idea who's going to be available for Wednesday. Because that back three or the back five that ended the game, you just can't start a game with those 5 players there, realistically. Like, I love Alfie. I used to watch him play non-league 5 years ago, and so I've followed him ever since, and I'm delighted he's at Luton, and I absolutely love him. He can't... The fact he filled in for 40 minutes today was a miracle. He can't do it for 90. So what do you do with that? Because you've now got a shape that's worked. Do you end up putting square pegs in round holes? I don't know, but maybe the most important thing to take forward from today is the attitude, the application, and the leadership rather than the tactics, because you can tweak that on a game-by-game basis. I think we all felt coming in that, like, it was a bit make or break today. Like, either it was, if this goes badly, this could be the end of something. But if it goes well, it could be the moment that starts the season. And I guess we just have to hope that, really. Obviously, the games get trickier from here on in. But I'm always a bit reluctant also to look forward a little bit after a day like today. I just want to enjoy it. It was really good fun. The Their fans were so pissed. I was in the Oak Road. Their fans were so pissed off at the end. It was great.
They couldn't go anywhere, could they?
They was kettled in,
Yeah, they
waiting for
couldn't
their
go.
little buses. Fantastic.
There was one bloke, bless him, and from the moment the second goal went in, he was just holding up 4 fingers at Luton fans for the rest of the game, as if a result 2 years ago, when we'd beaten them twice since, was of any bearing at all. But even 10 minutes after full time when they couldn't leave, he was still there with his 4 fingers up. And you know what? Fair play to you, mate. It's an awful point. It's an awful argument. You lost. You should be embarrassed. But I can't help but admire the doggedity with which he stuck to his awful point.
I was hoping for a fourth.
Yeah. They love the aggregate. Well, we're beating them on the aggregate anyway now. If we're going to go down that road.
I would have loved a fourth. When Brown scored and 91st minute, and there was still 7 minutes plus like the time because of the goal being scored. I was saying we could get another one here because we actually look so dangerous as well going into injury time. Or added time, whatever they call it nowadays. And I was hoping for a fourth. Yeah. Just really hoping, just because of that 4-0, like in 97, the 4-0 in 2022, I want to say. Not sure. Yeah.
Question for you both then. When's the last time, because I've looked this up now while we've been talking, when's the last time Luton beat Watford by 3 clear goals?
1993, I want to say 94. We beat them 4-1. No. We beat them 4-1 in. Well, no, we beat them 4-2 at their gaff.
4-2.
Yeah.
3 clear goals. Yeah. 1981.
1981.
I've looked on as heritage. 26th of September, 1981.
Yeah, when we got promoted, right? We got promoted that season, 81-82.
Yeah, Division 2. It was the old Division 2. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, so Brian Steen
that shows the importance of that result as well, how big this result is in our history as well.
So, sorry for not letting you answer there, JC. I love quizzes.
I did say both, but never mind.
There was no chance I was beating you for that. It did strike me, Jacob Brown getting involved in the crying celebration with the first goal. Nice that kind of lineage has been passed through, even though Gabe isn't here anymore.
Yeah,
I think Gabe tweeted about it as well, which is nice to see. So yeah,
I love that. Right. Yeah. Well, anyway, JC, thank you very much for joining us. And I assure you, we weren't kicking you out. We were, moving you from the green room to the phone-in channel. We weren't trying to get rid of you.
I'll try not to take it personally, lads. Have a good night.
Yeah, you too, mate. Have a good one. Right, I think that was a very successful phone-in. And
it always helps when you beat Watford 3-0, doesn't it?
But yes, we should wrap this up. Any concluding remarks? Do you want to gloat a bit more about your, bang-on score that you got?
I'm just going to look smug about it for at least until February when we play them again at their place. Yeah. It's just exactly what we want. We did say it was make or break, so we've got to have the faith that it's going to be something that we can carry on with, regardless of players, that we carry on with that Luton way of playing and add the, small touches of finesse, but not go completely away from what was so successful 2 years ago. And yeah, it works against Watford, it'll work against Sunderland, it'll work against Coventry as well. So I'm just absolutely over the moon, and I'm going to spend the rest of the evening drinking my body weight in various different wines and beers to celebrate and watch the highlights over and over again. I don't know about you.
I'm recording a podcast tomorrow. That goes out on Tuesday.
Some of us have got to work.
Well, I'm on annual leave from my job at the moment, but yeah, I've got to do the running order for the podcast and the Brickies tomorrow. If you want to see this podcast that's live from the Brickies, you can subscribe to our channel. It'll be going live on Tuesday. And if you want even more Luton Town content, just hit that subscribe button and like this video, because it'll increase the visibility and people will see that they can have a voice on a phone-in. But thank you all for joining us. We really appreciate it. And 3-0 3-0. Is that the German 3? I don't even know. I haven't watched Inglourious Basterds for a while. How do I do 3?
I'm gonna say yeah.
Yeah?
That's the only way I know from
3.
that. Exactly the same, something like that. Yeah,
3. I don't know how to do it, but everyone have a good evening, and most importantly, come on, you Hatters.
Come on, you Hatters.